Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Mahe Ramadh'an Reflections Part 11, a selected translation of Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi's commentary on Dua al-Iftitah. The necessity of presence of heart in worship. If we pay close attention, we will discover that our prayers and supplications are nothing but a sin, since they are not worthy of God. We will explain this through an example, even though God is exalted beyond being a referent of such examples. However, our level of understanding is low, and our minds must be prepared through such examples. Suppose that we meet a friend after being away from him for a long time, and we are to spend an hour with each other. However, when we meet, we turn away from him, and we're busy with our own work. How insulting is such behavior? Now, if the person we're intending to meet is a great person, how much more unfavorable and despicable such behavior is. Our inattention to God and lack of presence of heart is much worse and detestable than such an action. Even though God has given us the grace of being present before Him, getting close to Him and speaking to Him, if we are indifferent to Him, we are worthy of great punishment, and if He turns us away, it would be deserved. However, despite all of this, He does not turn us away and continuously invites us to sit at His banquet. God's forgiveness and forbearance must not make us arrogant. We're obliged to not fall short in performing our duty to the extent of our knowledge and ability. A prayer and supplication that is merely the pronunciation of a few words and without the spirit of worship is devoid of grace. However, we must not refrain from performing them if we have not perceived their value or do not understand their meanings. Rather, we must strive for our worship, our prayers, and our supplication to find spirit, attain presence of heart, and understand their meanings. Otherwise, if we refrain from even our unworthy acts of worship, we would not find anything better to take their place. Delaying the performance of worship, especially obligatory prayers, is also very wrong. Do not imagine that if our prayer is delayed for a while, our joy in establishing it will be greater. Most likely, this delay is also a satanic whispering or a temptation with the excuse of tiredness, work, etc. And the prayer that is offered after its prime time is more spiritless and imperfect. Therefore, even our unworthy acts of worship, such as supplicating, reciting the Quran, remembrance of God, etc., must not be abandoned. Rather, we must strive to improve them and face God with more deference and contemplation. Not that we abandon them, as this itself is a sin and disrespect. It is not a merit to abstain from performing an act of worship that one feels is unworthy. What is important is to acquire greater respect before God and perfect our actions. Some narrow-minded thinkers say that a prayer or supplication that is devoid of the understanding of its meaning is useless. However, in reality, this is not true. Rather, we must make efforts to make them possess greater substance. We must acknowledge that we have fallen short in our duty of servitude to God, and we do not have the energy and understanding to perform them better. However, because God has commanded us to worship, we have taken on the appearance of His worshippers and servants, even though our hearts are alien to Him. We must then ask God to bestow us with the presence of heart, attention, and success to worship Him better and increase our understanding, deference, and love toward Himself.